Rev up your engines!
Barack says, Scotty, what do you think about the New York Times report saying automakers like GM are sharing consumers' driving behaviors with insurance companies, leading to increased car insurance rates? The car companies are scumbags. They're out to make money any possible way they can. Take, for example, that fool had a GM, Mary. She said, we're going to make billions with software, right? Well, recently they fired a bunch of their software people because they weren't making any money. Their whole thing was they wanted to do subscription services, right? So you'd buy a car, but then in order to access all the things that it had, you had to pay a subscription each year. And they thought, we'll make a fortune. Well, guess what? Americans don't like that kind of crap. And we Americans say, we bought the car, it better have everything that's on it working. And we don't have to pay extra. Like you buy a Tesla, then you got to pay $3,000 to make it go faster. Even though it's already there, you got to pay for the software. That's un-American as far as I'm concerned, right? These car manufacturers want to make money any way they can, and they got all their computers in your car. GM, you're talking about OnStar, because OnStar gets all the information in your car. So my advice is, if you got it, you can disable OnStar, go into the system, you can turn it off from sending information out. Most people don't know that, but you can. I got a video on it. You can watch that. But you just scroll through a bunch of crap on the OnStar, and eventually it'll say, you know, don't send the information. Click on that, and then they won't send the information. They can't do it because Big Brother, I don't want them watching me either. But then again, I'd never buy a GM anyways. They're garbage. Dennis Veronin says, Scotty, my 01 Expedition stopped charging. Does the alternator need replacing or just the voltage regulator? Thanks. Okay. Voltage regulator's built into the alternator. Very few people rebuild any of that stuff anymore. Most of them are computer controlled, and it can even be a problem in your computer system. Most of the time, though, you just need an alternator. Have a mechanic check it with his machine. It takes me 2 minutes, and the machine will tell me, is it the voltage regulator? Is it the alternator? Is it the battery? We can test all that stuff. Don't just guess, because it could be your battery's not good. You got a bad battery, it doesn't give enough electricity to the alternator, and it won't charge. So have it tested. Most of the time, you just buy a battery alternator assembly. Shadow Man says, I got a water leak looked at my 07 Honda Ridgeline. They said it might not be fixable. Can I remove my carpet and drive and just wipe up the water? Let's say you got a bad drain. It's a real pain taking a dash apart and taking the drain apart and cleaning it, but you'll see the drain, there's a hose that goes under your car, and it's a black rubber hose. If that's clogged up, you can get a garden hose, you can squirt backwards, and then all the crap eventually will flow out of the hose, and you can clean it out every once in a while. That's generally what it is. Let's say it is the heater core leaking in the dash. The heater core's leaking, you would get antifreeze, hot antifreeze in the car. Okay? If it's just water, it's the drain. And you can blow it out. And like I said, just find that hose, get a garden hose, squirt water up it, and you should be able to clean it out. It's not that hard to do. It really amazes me what these garages say. It might not be fixable. It's a machine. Everything on it is fixable. It's just a matter of how much money you want to spend. Robert Camarina says, hey, Scotty, I'd like to know your opinion of a 2013 Outlander Mitsubishi. I might be buying one. Okay. If it's under 100,000 miles and the price is okay, they can be decent, fun vehicles. But they generally fall apart when they get 140,000 or more miles on it. So if you're looking at one with 150,000 miles, I wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole. Now, if that had been a Toyota Highlander, I wouldn't have any problems at all buying with that mileage. But not the Mitsubishi. Their engines and transmissions break down after a certain period of time. You know, it really depends on how many miles it has on it, and what the guy wants for it. Mitsubishi's not the greatest cars, but some people like them. Just don't buy it if it's got more than 140,000 miles on it. Peter Grant says, my wife's 2014 Jeep Cherokee has corroded front tie rods. Chrysler McCare warranty we have would cover them, but since they're rusted, they won't cover it. Why not? Okay, here's the thing. They cover when things are mechanically worn out, and they don't count rust. But here's the thing. What a tie rod does, it's just there, and the end swivels so you can steer and turn. If the boot is still okay, not ripped, and there's no grease coming out, it's probably perfectly okay. The rest of the tie rod is just steel. You can get superficial rust. It isn't going to hurt anything. I've never actually seen one rust away. They're thick steel, right? Now, what happens to them is the rubber breaks on the end, then water and salt gets in, and then the ball joint end snaps off. So if the boot's ripped, you got to change it. But if it's just rust on the outside, that's thick steel. It would take hundreds of of years for it to rot the whole way through and break off. That's the part you worry about, is the rubber part. If the rubber part is torn, the grease came out, then they would have to fix it under warranty because that's physical wear. Last Centurion says, I got a Ford Ranger 2021, 28,000 miles. It makes a whirring, whirlish noise when I'm accelerating in low gears. Is that an issue? All right, well, it shouldn't make any noise, but it is a Ford, right? You only got 28,000 miles. Just out of curiosity, watch my video, Finding the Source of Car Noises, Scotty. It's on YouTube. We mechanics have a device, and you can buy one for about $80 on Amazon. Just put in car noise finder, and you'll see Chinese make a bunch of them. They come with 6 long wires and sensors. You can clamp them on different parts of the transmission, different parts of the car. Then you wear headphones, and you can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and that'll tell you what part the noise is coming from. And if you hear the noise coming from inside the transmission's wearing. Wouldn't surprise me on a Ford. Their quality's gone down the toilet. But, I mean, you bought it, and it works. I would just check the fluid, make sure it's full of fluid, maybe change the fluid and filter, and pray that that helps. Damien says, Scotty, I'm thinking of buying a Range Rover. What are your thoughts? Do you have a lot of money? Are you interested in showing off how rich you are so you can afford both the vehicle and the outrageously expensive repairs and the insanely low resale value? Go right ahead. There's only 2 times I'd ever advise anybody to get a Range Rover. One, if you got a business, you can write it off and you're leasing it. You don't have to pay for repairs. A lot of businessmen lease them. Or if you're a riverboat gambler, you can get used ones dirt cheap. They still might have some life left in them, right? I mean, most people don't know anything about cars. They'll get rid of them for some dumb little thing. Now, if you're talking way back, like in the 60s and 70s, they were pretty well made then, right? But then they started putting Buick V8 engines, and they made their own V8s, and they went right down the toilet. But the old ones with the little 4 cylinders and the diesel engines, now they could run forever. Based and red-pilled said, I just changed all the spark plugs in my engine with the proper type, gapped them, but I have a faint ticking noise. It's not engine knock or lifter. Is it plug wire related? Okay, it often is. Here's the thing. Modern cars, most of them, have what are called coil on plug. Your ignition coil is a computer assembly that snaps on top of your spark plugs and has a 10 millimeter bolt holding it in. Now they sit there for years and they're made out of plastic and rubber. When you have to take those coil plug assemblies off to change the spark plugs, when you put them on, often the plastic or the rubber will crack and you'll hear a ticking. It's a missing sound. Now back in the day, they were just, if you got an old car too, they were spark plug wires. And I'd just say, go get a set of spark plug wires. They were like $40-$50 and replace them. Now the coils cost a lot of money. Some of them are $150 a piece. You got a 6-cylinder, that's 6 times, that's like $900, right? So then you'd want to figure out which one is ticking. Get a little stethoscope and see which one is ticking and replace just that one, because they are expensive. Haji's Underx says, I got an 04 Infiniti G35. The fan doesn't blow strong at all in the front, but the defroster works. How can I fix this? Your defroster's blowing strong. That means the fan's blowing, but it doesn't blow strong in your face. You've got a problem with your HVAC venting system. When you go from defrost to, say, face, you got defrost, you got face, you got heat, you got in between. If it doesn't change from defrost to heat, it's stuck in defrost. There are various electronic vacuum switches in there that are supposed to change it from blowing up to blowing down. Yours has probably got a problem with one of those vent motors. Now, you're going to have to pay a guy like me with a fancy scan tool. That's a fancy Infiniti, and we put our fancy scan tool on, and what we can do is we can say, command it to go from defrost to face, right? And it'll send the command out. Now, then if it starts blowing, it means your computer isn't giving the command and your control unit's bad. If you give it the command and it doesn't blow out, then you know it's getting the command, but the motor's not working. You need a new motor. And then, of course, if it is the motor, you got to take the dash apart, and that's almost $1,000 on one of those Infinitis. Another reason I tell people not to buy them. Tom Baldwin says, Scotty's looking haggard. He must have analyzed too many EVs. No, I've been driving for 2 days through that massive storm. Well, we drove through it. People were smashing into cars when we came to New Jersey. We ended up going the wrong way. The directions stopped working on Google Maps, and so, but we made it here, and I'm back at my house in Rhode Island, and I'm all ready now. I'm starting to get back to normal. Give me another night's sleep, and I'll be totally back to normal. And as I said before, I'm back in Providence, Rhode Island. I'm going to be here for 3 months. So if you got car problems, you want to show your car off, you want to maybe complain about your car? Hey, set up an appointment, Scotty Kilmer, gmail.com, Monday through Friday. I check them out free. And I'll make a video about it, and the world will see either that you got a good car, maybe you want to show off a new car. I like showing the new cars to see what's there. Maybe you got a car that's a lemon you want to warn people about, don't buy it. Or maybe you got a car problem and you want me to figure out what it is. Hey, Scotty Kilmer, gmail.com. Set up an appointment. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.